Okay, let's get rid of that. Hello.
Hello.
So tonight, this is Denise's subject. Okay, so we're on the wise part of healthy, wealthy, and wise. Oh no, sorry, we're on the wealthy part of healthy, wealthy,
I'm
and
the
wise.
wealthy one. No, just kidding.
Denise,
Just kidding. That is not.
okay,
But
so this is your topic. We're gonna let you take the lead on it.
okay, you have to say the title again because I don't have it written down and I keep forgetting.
Okay, the passion penalty. Why loving what you do is costing you money.
Ah, such a loaded one because I feel it in my core. I think on a daily basis in everything I do. So we see a lot on, I love this one and I picked this one because we all love what we do and we're so quick to discredit that because of emotions and the love of it. We feel like we have to give it away.
Yep.
And I'm going to go on live and say this. I say this in my classes. Statistically, my dogs at my grooming salon are the cheapest out of everyone else's. And there's most certainly an emotional side. I would also like to emphasize, I don't need to groom. That doesn't really go into my revenue. It does not sustain me. I'm weeding myself out of doing grooming. And if they were to go to any of the other groomers, either A, the clients would get charged, or B, the business would make up for the lack of charging. So I do want to throw out there that I do know that it is an issue, but so many groomers, because we love what we do, we put our hearts into it. We're such emotional, creative beings that we struggle with pricing and having to have the difficult conversations between pricing or even letting go of things that we should let go of that aren't serving us. So whether that's we're using a certain product, but we don't want to hurt our distributor's feelings, or maybe we know specifically who that person is and we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. So it's like a little twofold in there. We price too low or we don't put a high value on it. Even with running factual numbers, and we shortchange ourselves for this passion, for this industry and passion that we love to do.
You know, I remember, let's go back like 15, 20 years. Okay. So, in one of the mobile grooming forums, somebody had posted that they couldn't believe this one mobile groomer was charging like $300 for a cat. Let's go back like 15, 20 years. All right. And that
Mm-hmm.
was highway robbery, and that she could never charge $300 for the cat. And I can remember thinking to myself, wondering if I could get $300 for a cat. Okay.
Right.
You know what? If you think about it, all right. So she doesn't have to like advertise to a lot of people. She has a very specific niche of people who will pay her, all right, and who will pay her $300. Two cats in a day was what I was making on a full day of grooming.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe an hour and a half worth of work for what I was earning for like a full day of work. So I think that got me thinking about pricing, and not first of all, not everyone is is going to be your client. And if you and even still, I mean, I still think $300 for a cat is a lot, but you know what? I think it is way more doable now. Again, it's a very specific client that you are looking for.
I would like to go back in time also when I first heard of um, Jarvis Godoy. Have you heard of him at all?
Mm-mm.
The name is familiar, but
He was considered the world's most successful groomer, the world's wealthiest groomer at one time. And I didn't read, on a cassette tape, I listened to his seminars and things. And I met him in person also. And his philosophy was if you make everything beautiful, the service has to be impeccable, the dogs have to be perfect. He paid his groomers 45% only. If you had a crappy car, you parked it out back. Everything was a high-end experience for that client. And I don't know if you can look him up or not, but I saw pictures of his studio. It wasn't in a great location. He had a cement floor that he polished, and he had these beautiful silk screens to delineate each station. It was impeccable. He loved to do hand stripping because he would sit there and just do one hair at a time. But by the time they picked their dog up, at the time, the dog would be perfect, and he would charge anything. His starting price was $245, and this was back in the day. So he had the right philosophy, because 45% of a $300 or $400 animal, was great money. And if you could do 4 beautiful dogs a day, who cares if it was 45%? That was the money that you were looking for. And his business model is something that I've always remembered. And as I do consultations with these high-end salons, and the one that I am currently at, this is what I have in mind when I'm thinking about that. So everything has to be on point. If you were having a bad day, he'd reschedule. He took care of his employees just as much as he took care of his clients. Everything had to be immaculate. He had a waiting list of people wanting to work for him. So if you think about that, that's the same thing that you were talking about, Mary. He had just executed it perfectly at the time. So.
Well, our passion shouldn't mean we get less. Our passion should be our drive to do better, have niche, and like really stand out from whoever. Like, even just if I don't think of my area people as competition, because we each offer something different. And what I offer is not what they offer. So I want my passion turned from not necessarily like grooming the dogs. I love the dogs, right? My passion, I love the grooming industry, but I turned my passion also into an experience and wanting to excel in my area and in my community, which gave value. So when we serve just for this, the sole purpose of doing the dogs because we love doing dogs, and we completely void out the other side to that, we aren't doing the industry or ourselves any favors as well.
Because it does take time. It does take effort. It does take education. It takes product. It takes electricity. Your overhead is huge.
Oh.
We're back. And we're gone. And we're back.
I'm like, where'd
you have all these things that you're thinking about. And of course, this industry is just rife with people who have imposter syndrome, and they don't feel like they can charge. Well, I've only been doing it for 6 years. Well, heck, lady or sir, you are a groomer. Charge your worth. Absolutely. Afraid to raise it $2.
Yeah. There was I got laughing emojis. I got laughing reactions, the laughing face. There was someone who was asking what they should charge. It's 2 of them working on this dog for 4 hours. And the factual side of that is whatever your hourly rate is times 2 for that amount of time. That's the facts of business.
Yeah.
And I had people laugh reacting at me. And I'm like, but that's the answer. Like, it's not a guessing game, And when we put that, but the fact that people were laughing at the factual comment of what we should be charging for this, I take the emotion side out. For everyone else, I can take the emotion side out. For myself, a lot harder. I understand that. But for everyone else, I can say, no, this is, and we do that for our own. We have a newfie that takes 2 bathers and 2 groomers to finish. And we didn't realize how grossly undercharging we were. And we had to raise them 75%.
Yeah.
Not $75, 75%. He still comes. We still work with him, but he did also have and he even said, he's like, if I go somewhere else, it won't be as good. We're like, correct. It's up to you. So, and like, I know Michelle's on here, and she commented on here, she pays herself less than her employees. And that's the other problem of the putting our passion and love beforehand. Like, it's wonderful to support your employees, but it's like when you ride a plane, right? They're like, put your mask on first, because you can't help anyone else if you're not able to. So
And you're taking on the business ownership. You're responsible
Right.
for everything. Why would you pay yourself less? If anything, your services should be a tad bit more if you think about it. And you get to groom the ones that you want to groom. That's the whole deal. You should never pay yourself less than your employee. I know it feels weird to do that for a lot of us, but my gosh, honey, you're not doing all that for giggles. You're doing that to pay for your life and pay for your family.
And I know Michelle. Michelle has a huge heart, and I know that it comes from a passion of wanting to please people as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to make sure we take care of others and we don't take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not to say I had a client, and I loved her. She was handicapped, she was on disability, she could not afford a mobile groomer.
Mm.
She was a great person. Her dog was good, and I charged her basically what a shop would charge for mobile grooming, for shop grooming as a mobile groomer. Right. But when I left, that meant when I retired, I couldn't find her another mobile groomer. Her only option would be, because other mobile groomers did not have that relationship with her, her option was to figure out how to get to a shop.
And bless your heart, Michelle. I understand completely, because you're single and she has a family. Regardless, you should pay her well, and you should also pay yourself well. You should make as much as your grooming fees should be as equal across board, actually, or a little bit higher. Absolutely. But no one takes precedent over your comfortability with your own business. I think that's very important. I think Denise will absolutely agree with me.
Yeah. No. Like our role is different. We're used to, like, if you're a groomer turned into owner operator, we think differently. We think in terms of grooming. And I'm Michelle. I had huge guilt. I still have guilt when I leave my salon. And I will tell my employees exactly like what I'm doing for the day and stuff. But I don't have to. They support me. I don't need to. But it does feel, even though I'm going home and I was working on my bathing handbook and SOPs, and I've been working on that for hours after I got home, I just work better at home than I do in the distraction of my facility. And I still feel guilty, even just leaving, and going out and doing, even though I'm working. There's no reason I should feel guilty, but we still do, right? It's just different. Going into that owner operator role is also a whole different mental side of that as well.
It is.
All right. So let's say we want to revamp our business. All right. How do we start doing that? I mean, it's a whole lot easier to start like that right out of the gate. But for most people, you've already in business. Now you have to switch things up. So
I'd say you have to take an inventory of your salon or your area, clean it thoroughly, find out where you need to repair things to make it more beautiful and functional. Don't have a lot of trash hanging around. So you just have to do your own business inventory of how a client feels when they walk in your space, how all that stuff feels. And then you have to figure out what is your hourly rate. I can't stress that enough. You should know your hourly rate of what it takes just to open the door. Minus all, don't worry about the grooming prices, but find out what it takes to operate your facility. And if you do that and you find your hourly rate, then you can say, okay, I need this much profit. And then your prices will start to fall into place. So all those things have to be done first. And then depending on what you need out of your facility, then you can start saying, okay, I can pay you 50% or 45% or 30% or wherever your prices are at. You have to revamp all that. Everybody new that comes in gets the new price. All the grandfathered in clients get eked up $2 to $5 per year or every 6 months or whatever your business model is telling you. So that's basically how you get started. And then it's nuanced from there.
all right. So another way of doing that too. See, now my brain works a little bit differently than Michelle. Okay.
Me too.
So what I would be doing is I'm going to look at what I want my business to be, what it's supposed to look like. And how far from there am I? And start working backwards so I can get a plan to move forward. That's simply the
Are
way.
you leading?
It's
Are
the
you
same
leading that
thing, but
into?
both ends of the spectrum there, working toward that goal.
Yeah.
But Mary knows my book, which is exactly why. Like, so that's how I think too. I do reverse engineering a lot. I see D. I don't know how A, B, and C align with that, but I see D. I don't do A. I can't do A, B, C. And it's funny because here's my shameless plug. So actually, in my book that I have coming out, I go through every step of business ownership, like setting it up, and one of them is pricing. For me, and this is not book sell or anything, for me personally, when I did have an issue, not on the pricing side, but I had an issue on the culture side. And I really had to stop. I knew where I wanted to be, but I really had to step back and assess where I was. And the hardest part was admitting where I was. And once I did that, and Michelle, I'm going to call you out because you're on here, your burnout. That's your in your face, what's going on. And once I really became honest, I was then able to start puzzle piecing where I needed to get to my end goal. So I'm a little bit of actually Mary Ann Michelle. I'm gonna say I'm a little meld of the two. I can be very focused and structured and know exactly where I need to go, but I also know that if I'm too far gone, or when I start something new and I have a big plan, I see the goal, I have to pieces the ways to get there. So
a lot of
for
times,
me,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah. So for me, it's sort of it's taking that it's assessing. It's taking that step back and
And
being
it's
very
interesting to see
honest.
how our brains work as well, because everybody is different, and you might approach it in a whole different way that we can't fathom between the three of us. In my mind, I need to see what I have to decide where I'm going to take it. And it's the same thing as Mary, but she sees it from the other end. And that's great too. Some people have to visualize, but there's nothing wrong in either way. And sometimes you can combine the two. Sometimes you can think of something that's not even a concept to us. But doing it, moving forward, is the best way to go if you're unhappy or if you have burnout. Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. So I did get to beta read Denise's book, and the book is really good. It's like one of these things that, you know what, of course, now that I'm retired, but back when I started, okay, this is the information I would have really loved to have had.
And I wrote it, the workbook. So it is a workbook too. It is a working book. And I wrote it because my brain does the reverse engineering, and a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff logistically and business wise, is very neurotypical and very logistical and very factual. So it's do the A, B, C, and D, or A, B, C to get D. I knew what I wanted D to be, and I had to figure it out. So I struggled. And the book isn't just for startups, it's for people who even feel wonky, because it's a really good fresh start. It assesses it. And that was not the point of doing this, was the book, but it was brought up. So I'm going to throw that out there. It really does help reassess where you're at, because it goes through the why, your clarity, pricing, your business model, how you should have set up your business, the 10 steps, very factual, your branding, your leadership, the human side, and it goes into do you scale? Are you ready to scale? What does it look like to scale? And it has a 90-day action plan in the back of it. So each chapter has a workbook section, and then there's a 90-day action plan.
Like
And you could do this every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years. You can reinvent yourself all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and that brings up a really good point, because it is a good idea to reevaluate your business every single year to make sure you're still moving in the direction you want to move in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I reassess in January. Usually it's after the holiday season, fresh starts. It's a little bit slower for us in winter time. So I will reassess everything. And I've done it so much. I'll start to notice nothing gets touched between October and December. It won't get finished. It's not going to happen. But I'll start to notice when it's time to change my core values or my mission statement because I'm not aligning with it anymore. I can tell if I'm making decisions not off of those values and it's not sitting right. Like I can easily tell it's time for me to reevaluate. So we reevaluate. I do once a year. So.
All right. So I'm going to tell you how I do it. Okay. Because again, just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at when the last quarter is starting. So the last quarter starts around October, November, December. That's the last quarter, right? So before, when I was still working as a groomer, so before it got busy, I would reevaluate the year up to that point. Okay. Now that I'm not grooming, that doesn't make a difference. I can just sometime in the last quarter, I'm going to reevaluate, but I'm not putting things into play until the new year.
I like that.
Something about the shift from one year to another.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm just living on the edge, I guess. I'll change whenever. If I feel a change needs to be done, I'll think about what's going to happen at that moment and then create from there. And that's what drives me into doing something new. And I've got to be excited about it. It has to interest me. I've got to feel like, hey, this is a great idea, and then start planning from there. So, absolutely. So you can, if you're the neurotypical kind of person, that's great. And I look at that with envy because it's so easy. I would love to just be able to follow that and just be, see, ta-da, it's there. My mind doesn't work like that. I'm just like, okay, let's pull all the flowers together and see where they go. So that's how I work.
So I have to say, I work that way. I worked really hard to change that within my salons. My life is that way, but the salons had to be very structured to have so many of them and I needed to have that structure to succeed and to offer my employees the best that I could, because I couldn't have them because of the multi-locations. If it was one location that I was in, not that they don't accept me for who I am, but I can be that way. Because I can talk to them, engage with them, communicate with them. Having multiple locations, whole different ballgame. And they don't know how my brain works on a daily basis if I'm not at that location. Mm-hmm. So I learned my structures and had to at least get that part down. Oh, but the rest of my life, it very much like the ambitious groomer. I've been throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what will stick and what I like and I'll tell you what, the book is honestly so far been the most passionate I've been about it. I think I hit that sweet spot, but no, in my everyday life, I am like Michelle. In my work life, I had to be very logistical because of just the size.
And I have to say, I'm like that all the time, but you have to put those processes in place so other people can, work. But the planning part is always like gathering flowers for me. But you have to put it in there. And then once you find out, then you have the meeting, or then you say, hey, we're going to be implementing these new things. What do you think? And move forward like that. But yeah, there's room for all kinds of processes that create that beautiful thing that you're creating.
Well, I see Michelle talking about like changing. And I think that was the other thing that you're not taught in business books.
Right.
It's fluid. It doesn't have to stay the same. You're going to outgrow. Even employees, like a lot of the employees leave for one or two reasons. Either they outgrow us or my salon outgrows them.
Right.
And it's just one or two reasons. So everyone reinvents themselves and finds their way. So can your business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're coming up on the end of our half hour.
I think that says it all.
I know, right? Like, I
don't know. Okay, so let's just see where we'll be. Again, we are always, why is my, because you know what? I didn't plug my computer in. Good thing it lets me know when my battery's getting low. Okay, so anyway, where will we be? the three of us are always open. If you see us at a show, come talk to us. Okay.
Mhm.
So upcoming stuff. Pipro Classic. I will be there. Michelle will be there. So June is what else is in June?
Pet Quest.
That's it. I couldn't think of the name. Pet Quest is also June.
I'll be in Intergroom. I'll be Intergroom in 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, RX Groom X is also in Kentucky,
Oh, yeah.
and that's at the end of May.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's where we'll be. That is May and June. July I will be nowhere. July I'm going to be on vacation. I mean, I'll be around, but I am not doing anything online and I am not doing anything live. I am going on vacation. Okay. And then August, of course, is Super Zoo
And All American.
and All American.
I love All American. It's one of my favorites. That's what I consider my home show. That's what I grew up going to when Jerry owned it. Before it was the original. So yeah,
I never went to the original. The only time I've only been there once, and that was I think when Barkley just took it over.
It was a fun show. It is a fun show. I like
It
it.
is a fun show. Okay, on that note, we'll see everybody on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So whenever the second Tuesday of the month is, that's when we'll be.
Perfect.